Hi everyone. Today we are going to see how we can integrate Salesforce inside OutSystems. All right. So what we will do is create a very simple application that will let us see all of our accounts inside our Salesforce tenant, and maybe let us edit them and create accounts of our own. Okay. As is standard, before we start, let's go ahead and create a new application for the same. Let's make it a reactive web app, and we'll call it a Salesforce um, accounts. Because why not? Let's give it a color and go ahead and create this application. Uh, we'll create a module for the same. And here we are inside Service Studio, inside our new application. Before we actually go ahead and be able to connect to Salesforce, we need to go to Integration Builder so that we can get data from our tenant, from our Salesforce tenant. And the way to do so is to be able to go into the Data tab right here. We go into Databases, and we are going to integrate it with external database right here. When I do so, it should let me go ahead and choose uh, a data point from integration builder. Okay, so I already have done so, but let's go ahead and assume that we were to do it again. So we go to Salesforce. This should bring up integration builder in our browser. Uh, Quickly, let's bring that tab in here. Here we go. Okay. And all we have to do really when we're working with integration builder is to sort of just authorize integration builder. Uh, you can go ahead and connect to either production or sandbox versions of your environment. If it is production, let's go ahead and quickly connect. It'll ask you to log in onto the Salesforce website. But since I am using a developer account, let's go ahead and tell it to use a custom domain. I can tell the integration builder what my custom domain is, which in my case is right here. Let me go ahead and copy this real quick. Okay, and let's go ahead and remove this. Continue. And now this will let me go ahead and log into my developer account. I can go ahead, log in, allow the access to my account. Once that is done, I can actually let OutSystems integration builder access all these objects in here. For the sake of this exercise, I've actually already done everything accounts. So let's just search for account right here. And if we want to, we can really select all of these. And once this is done, again, we can just click on next. This will let us review our integration. Um, and I think we missed a point here. Um, of the objects that you have selected, you can actually go ahead and check the fields over here, all the fields that you want to fetch from Salesforce. For now, we just want everything in here. An important thing to note is if in the future we decide to change or add fields in here, we will have to come back to Integration Builder and manually add or remove the fields that we want to over here. Okay. We get that, go ahead and review this integration, give it an app name, an icon, and the module names for our integration module as well as our driver modules. More on them later. This will obviously tell us our base URL, the Salesforce account, the objects, and so on. And once you are happy, we can actually go ahead and publish this integration. The publishing takes time, something about 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, depending on how large the integration is. And once that is done, we actually are supposed to connect that integration as well, which is where this comes into play, where we go to connections and more importantly, integration manager right here, which should open right now. And over here in Integration Manager, we will be able to actually see the connection. This will create a link between OutSystems tenant as well as the Salesforce tenant and allow us to use the data and bring in data inside OutSystems, right? So assuming we've done all this and assuming we've given a name to our integration right here, I can then come back into OutSystems, go in over here and manage my dependencies. So I'll quickly go ahead, search for Salesforce, and I will have my drivers as well as my integration service right here. And for now, again, let's just take everything in here, just faster that way. Oops. As we are selecting all of these details, it will actually take care of any dependencies that depend on it as well. So we just want everything to do with accounts. Let's just go ahead and apply. And that's really it. Now we have our account over here, our Salesforce connection in here, using which we can access our Salesforce information. Great. Let's go ahead and create a screen where we can see all of our accounts first. So I'll just go ahead and add a screen over here. Let's call this Salesforce Accounts. Awesome. I'll drop in a table over here because we want to see that data, and let's call it, let's just give it a title. Um, Now I want to just get the account data, which is really simple. All I have to do is just go ahead and select the account source data. And when I do that, OutSystems will actually automatically let me integrate with external systems as well, right? So right here we have search accounts, which will actually get me all the accounts. We obviously don't want all this data right now. So let's just say account number, if the account's active or not, the annual revenue, because why not? The billing city, um, let's say as billing zip code. Uh, we also want the account ID. This is important. This will come handy later. And obviously we want the account name. Uh, I think that should be good for now. So let's just go ahead and select all this data. And now what we can do is, just quickly rearrange this data if we want to. I definitely don't want account ID over here. So I'll go ahead and remove this column. And I want the account name all the way in the first thing that I want to see, or maybe the second thing, right after account number, perhaps. So account number, account name, if the account is active or not, or maybe we can even push this over here. And that's it. So that's great. Now, this will automatically take care of creating all the logic that is responsible for getting the Salesforce accounts. If I go ahead and publish this application, I'll actually be able to see the accounts that have been listed in Salesforce. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Once the application has been published, I can simply open it in browser. Which brings me to the screen. I automatically have been logged into my account and I can see that it automatically gives me all the Salesforce account inside my Salesforce 10 right here. There you go. Great. So now I have all of my accounts in my application. Let's say that I want to now make changes to these accounts. I want to be able to edit these accounts from here or add new accounts, right? So again, let's make some changes to our application to make that possible. Let's go ahead and add a column over here. I personally like to do so. There's other ways of doing it where, mm, the fields in here could link it to this new page. But let's go ahead and add an icon over here. which lets us edit a given account. Great. And what we want to also be able to do is now add a link and then create a new screen, which this will take us to. So let's do that. And we'll call this Salesforce Account Management. Great. Um, this is just going to be edit account for now. And this is where it's taking me. One of the things that I also want to do to be able to fetch the account data is have an input parameter on the screen. And I just want the account ID in here so that I can pass this parameter to the screen and then fetch the appropriate accounts information for editing or just viewing, right? As soon as I do that, I get an error saying, you need to put a right here. We need to pass this parameter. So we'll do so. OutSystems obviously will suggest us the correct answer over here. We can simply add that over here, which is the search accounts, current accounts, account ID right here. Okay, that's done. So let's go back to our screen. And we also want to be able to add accounts, right? So what we can do here is just go ahead and wrap this in if, and then just say add account right here. And what we want to see is just real quick, if the passed account ID is not null. If it is, if it is not null, then it'll be errand account because we have passed an account parameter. If it is null, then no account parameter has been passed, which means we're trying to get or create a new account right here. So that's done. And what we can also do is quickly add a button here, which will say add account. And what we want this button to do is just take us to the screen right here, account management. And we don't want it to pass anything in the account ID, right? So this will just be a null identifier. So now I have both my edit and add account buttons working. It will take me to the screen right here. And here is where I want to be able to have a form to be able to edit my account, right? So let's go ahead and add that form here. Great. So now I have my form. And when you're building forms and OutSystems, the quickest, fastest way of building a form is uh, simply either giving it a data structure, and OutSystems will automatically craft the form for you with all appropriate data structures and fields that are supposed to go along with it, right? So let's go ahead and add a local variable over here. This will store all of our form data and it will also help us create that forms, right? So let's call it this account detail and we'll actually name it account. This is just an account data type, okay? So this will let us store all the Salesforce account information. And in case you're wondering where this data type comes from, well, that's simply if we go in here in data in account, um, OutSystems automatically also creates the data structures for you. So this is the data structure that we are using, and this has all the fields and the entities that are associated inside this data structure. Now that I have this local variable, I have to do absolutely nothing. I can simply drag and drop this variable right here, and it will go ahead and craft this form for me. So everything is done really. What I now need to do is create a logic for me to be able to save this account, which will be to either save or delete the account that I want. To be able to do that, what we'll need to do first is get the account information. And before we go there, I'd probably like to make a small change here in the UI. Just a personal preference. I'd probably want it in a two-column format and have the form be in the first column. So that all that'll do is just make this form just take up half of the space on the page. Um, we can use the other half for anything else that we may want to do as well. Great. So now that this is done, let's actually go ahead and craft the rest of the things. The first thing that I would want to do now is actually get, assuming that you have come on this page, you probably want to get the associated account info with the account ID that has been asked to be edited by the user, right? So I want to fetch data from other sources. Let's go ahead and do that. And right over here, let's just say we want to call get account. So this is my Salesforce server logic. Again, something that I can see right here. This is basically what we are doing. We're using get account function to be able to retrieve an account by its given ID, right? So let's go ahead and say, give me get account right here. And get account will ask me, what's the account ID that you want to fetch using. So I'll just say this account ID right here. And because we don't want Salesforce to throw out any errors, we actually would probably want to do a small check over here first. What we want to see is if, again, the account ID is null or not, right? So if the account ID is not null, um, we want it to get the account. So let's say that that is true. You get the account, end of the story. If it is null, then you don't want to do absolutely anything, right? So there's no account ID. We don't want to do anything. And what we can also do is, for the sake of simplicity, just change this logic to just be if the account is null, um, then do absolutely nothing. If it's not null, you have been given an account ID. We want to call get account. Once get account has been called, we also want to be able to store the information that get account gets us, right? So let's go ahead and call this return account. There you go. OutSystems automatically figures out that this is supposed to be an account data type. And let's go ahead and set returned account to whatever get account gives us, right? So maybe let's just do this manually. Returned account to just be get accounts account. Great. That's it. And with that, we're done for this logic. Um, let's quickly get rid of this error right here because it's asking us to create a function for this button. Great. So we have created this server action, which is responsible for getting all this data. We now, let's just call it get Salesforce account details. And we want to call this at the start of our screen, right? So whenever the screen is called, we want this function to be called. Um, This data, however, is on the server side and we want to bring it to the client side as well. So we will make use of this event, which is on after fetch. So after this server-sided function is done fetching all this data for me, we want to create a callback function over here. So let's go ahead and create a new action. And all this will do is simply set account detail as whatever my returned account is, right? So I'm just setting the local variable or based on what this gives me. And that's really it. So now if I go ahead and publish this application, this will take care of fetching the account for me. We've not done any logic in terms of being able to edit the account or add a new account, but we are able to fetch an account based on the information passed. And once again, after we're done publishing, let's go ahead and open this in browser. See our updated application right here. So if I want to go ahead and just maybe take up Edge Communications right here, click on Edit. This will actually go ahead and pull all the information that it could from Salesforce, right? So now this is working. This is great. Let's go ahead into the next step, and that is creating logic for this button, which will let us either add an account or delete an account. And quickly, just if I go ahead and edit an account, it says edit account. If I use this button, it will say add account, right? Very straightforward. Okay, now for the last part of our small demo, we'll go ahead and create logic for this button. Um, as is usual, if you want to have any custom validations, you're supposed to make them yourself. But OutSystems will do basic form validation for us. So we'll let this be as is for now. Um, just keep it as is. The first thing that we want to see is if there was an account ID that was passed originally, because this will let us use either the create or the update Salesforce account functions that we have with us, right? So if the form is valid, we want to then see if the account ID that was passed, was it null or not? If the account ID was null, that means that we're looking to create a new account, right? After the button has been pressed. So let's go ahead and call create account function right here. Great. And we will need to pass a parameter right here telling it what account is it that we are actually trying to create, which is going to be just account detail, which is going to be storing all of our data from the form. Awesome. And once this has been called, we can actually go ahead and check if this was successful or not. And if it was successful, we want to show a message saying account added successfully. Obviously, this needs to be a success message, and that will stop our flow. But if it was not successful, we probably want to show an error message along with relevant information for us to be able to debug or for the user to be able to understand what's going on here, right? So let's just go ahead and craft an error message here. If we want to, we can simply take any one of these line items from here, but let's say I just want uh, an error code between square brackets along with my error message, right? So really quickly, just a string that I'm crafting over here to be shown in the error message. And once that is done, we also want to stop this flow. Um, and that's that. So this will take care of creation of a new account for me, as well as the error handling part of it. If an account ID was passed, that means I have to go ahead and update the account, right? So let's go ahead and call that update account. And update account will request or will ask for a specific account ID. You don't want this to be that. Ideally, this should be disabled in the form. Um, but just for the sake of this demo, let's just pass it the original account ID that was passed. And you also want to pass the request, that is what information are you passing to this function. We'll just do that as is, and we will now go ahead and implement the exact same logic that we did for creation of an account. So we'll go ahead and check if it was successful. If this was successful, we want to say, yeah, account updated successfully. That ends it over here. And if it was false, let's just go ahead and use the exact same logic from here in here. And we just want to change create account to update account in both of our fields here. Let's do that. So that will complete both of our flows to be able to check if we are creating an account or we are updating an account. And that's really it. Let's just go ahead and quickly publish this application and see how it looks and functions inside OutSystems. Okay, let's go ahead and take a random account here. Let's say Burlington Textile Corp. Let's go ahead and create this account. Um, so we can see all the different information in this account. For the time being, let's just stay and change some random fields. Let's say the account number, will this be as is. Let's say that uh, how about they are now operating from 10 locations, and maybe maybe we also want to change something else. Okay, let's just do that for now. And when I do that, it just say account updated successfully. If I go in here in Burlington Textile Corp of America, this will have changed the number of locations. If I want to, let's say, change the SLA expiration date, let's just quickly do that as well. Let's say their SLA is expiring not now, not on 18th, but rather 19th March. Let's go save that. And if I refresh this page, it will have updated the SLA expiration date. Likewise, if I was to say create a new account, I can do the same. I'll just have to go ahead and add all of these details myself. And that's it. That's really it. That's all you need to be able to integrate OutSystems with Salesforce. This was a very basic demo, and hopefully this will help you create the custom applications that you want to do for your team.